Time to wake up. It's Saturday morning. Find some milk and cereal. Grab a bowl and spoon. No, a bigger spoon. Head to the living room and take a seat on the floor while Joseph and Chris present to you Saturday Morning Cartoon!
Hello everybody, welcome to Cartoon Boom! This is a show where we wake up with the Saturday morning sun, pop it on the floor with big bowl of sugar cereal, and we'll jar your favorite cartoons, both old and new. I'm Joseph.
And I'm Chris.
And this morning we watched X-Men, the animated series.
You started doing like the other intro there.
I know.
You were doing, like,
both of these intros are unforgettable for different reasons. The other one because it's so goofy. This one because it's so awesome.
This one you got to go. Yeah.
Maybe with less wah and more.
Nailed it.
Bah.
You think it's more bad than wah?
I'm thinking it more rocking than I am wailing. Just like that. Sure. Yeah. We'll go with that.
Nailed it.
So this was suggested by me for my birthday pick because it's one we should have probably done a long time ago, but we haven't yet. So here it is.
So you're like, here it is. So thank you for choosing this. I'm really glad you did. This was also suggested to us by 3 other listeners, Bob H. Jones 9 via Twitch, Kyle Killing via YouTube. Ooh, who are you killing? Maybe slow down there, bud. And Nicholas Moss via Facebook. So thank you, Bob, Kyle, and Nicholas. Also, in addition to Senor Joseph over here for suggesting this one, we're really glad we finally got to do it. Yay!
Yes, there's so much to say about this show, and we'll get to that. But first, X-Men the Animated Series aired from 1992 to 1997, based on X-Men, obviously, by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby, developed by Eric Lloyd, Sidney Ewanter, and Mark Edens. They all have weird names. Produced by Marvel Entertainment Group, Saban Entertainment, Graz Entertainment, or Gray's Entertainment? I'm going to say Graz Entertainment.
Sure.
And then ACOM, AKOM. This ran for 5 seasons, 76 episodes on Fox Kids Network originally. I don't know that it was ever syndicated. Was it only on Fox or did it air elsewhere?
No, I think it was only Fox. That's the only time I saw it for sure.
Yeah, I think so. And luckily now it's on Disney Plus, so you can watch it anytime you want.
Heck yeah. So thank you, Disney, for... Like, I know some people are just like, oh, Disney's buying everything. I'm so mad. But now I'm like, hey, I can actually like legit watch this stuff now. So that's cool. Thank you.
Yeah, so much the better. That the more Disney owns, the more it monopolizes, the more we get to see on Disney Plus, which is fantastic.
Yeah, it's true.
That's the upside to that.
So thanks.
Yeah, thanks, Disney. For short synopsis written by Kenneth Chisholm, again, our favorite algorithm.
Hey, the algorithm strikes again.
It's been a while. A team of mutant superheroes fight for justice and human acceptance in the Marvel Comics universe. His descriptions are so robotic. He cannot be human.
Do you think... Oh, maybe Kenneth... Okay, hear me out. What if he is part computer, but what if he's also mutant? Like, what if he's a mutant algorithm, not unlike Warlock from the X-Men universe, from the New Mutants?
Yeah. So what if he got infected by the technovirus and thus is forced to stay in between the form of human and algorithm?
That's what I'm saying.
And it's similar to Warlock and or Cable, to where he has to use his psychic powers, a part of them anyway, to keep that under control.
Yeah. I think this is the only thing that has made any sense since we have discovered Kenneth Chisholm.
Out of everything we've ever talked about on the show, that's the thing that makes the most sense to me.
Absolutely.
So that aside, who are some of the actors who played in this show?
Okay, so I'm just going to go over like the main core group of the X-Men for this, because if I wanted to go into every awesome character, it's going to be a super long list. Also, I just want to preface and say that the majority of the original cast that I'm going to go through here also reprised their roles on Spider-Man, the animated series in 1994 for 1 to 2 episodes. And they also largely came back for several Capcom games, such as X-Men versus Street Fighter in 1996, and also Marvel versus Capcom 2 in 2000. So that's really awesome that we got a lot of the same voices back for both those games.
That makes so much sense because when I think of these characters, these are the voices that are ingrained in my head for that reason, because that's all I heard growing up.
For sure, for sure. So with that said, Professor Xavier was voiced by Cedric Smith. Wolverine was voiced by Cal Dodd, who also, now this was weird. This is a weird one. Did you ever watch Goosebumps back in the 90s when they did that live action show? You remember when they did Slappy, the Night of the Living Dummy? You remember Slappy?
Right, the ventriloquist dummy, yeah.
Yeah, that was Cal Dodd doing the voice. That was Wolverine. How weird is that? That was such a weird, like totally different voices. Isn't that weird?
I had no idea. That's amazing. This guy's got range.
He does. It's so weird. Storm voiced by Iona Morris and then Allison Seeley Smith. So I think it was just the 5th season, the season that nobody really cares about that much, where they replaced some of the cast, namely from the core group. It was like Storm and Gambit both got replaced. Those voice actors. So then going on to Gambit, the original voice actor Chris Potter, then replaced by Tony Daniels. The character of Rogue was voiced by Lenore Zan. Character of Beast voiced by George Buza. Character of Jean Grey voiced by Catherine Disher. The character of Jubilee voiced by Allison Court. Now, Allison Court, so this is cool. Do you recognize her voice from anything else? Like, think back to childhood. She was Jubilee, but do you recognize that voice from anything else from the 90s? Any other cartoons?
Once you say it, I'm sure I'll remember, but it's not ringing a bell right now.
Think about Beetlejuice.
Oh, was that Lydia?
Yeah, she was the voice of Lydia Dietz in Beetlejuice.
Okay.
You recognize it now?
Yeah, totally. Okay, hear that.
And then how far down the Resident Evil hole did you go as a gamer?
Not too far down, unfortunately. Okay. I'm more on the outside of Resident Evil. I know it.
You're not having the big mommy stomp on you, is what you're saying.
I have the game, but I haven't played it yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, she was also the voice of Claire Redfield in the Resident Evil franchise from 1998 to 2012. So she appeared in I think it was 5 games, maybe it was 6. Starting with Resident Evil 2, I believe. So there you go. And then Cyclops voiced by Norm Spencer, which sounds like the most normal name I've ever heard. Hi, my name's Norm Spencer.
I'm normal man, normal human.
Hi, I'm Norm Human.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's our main cast. There you go.
Cool. I'm stuck on that Norm Human now. So for a few tasty marshmallows out of our big bowl of X-Men cereal, Fox initially had a lot of resistance to the cartoon series before it became a success. They felt that the target audience, kids under 10, wouldn't be interested in a romantic love triangle between Cyclops, Jean, and Wolverine, and they also thought kids wouldn't keep up with the show that was serialized.
Well, they were dead wrong because I gotta tell you, that meme of Wolverine looking at the photo from that series has become one of the most widely used memes of all time now. So that in itself proves them wrong.
It's true. I mean, that was probably just execs there's no way that kids are going to understand this. And they're right to a degree, but it doesn't mean we can't still appreciate it for what it is.
To this day.
From childhood, I knew that Wolverine wanted to be with Jean, but Jean was only with Cyclops. But she also would sometimes express feelings for Wolverine. And I didn't know how to feel about it then. But now it upsets me.
Oh, sad.
Well, because Cyclops in this show was just a jerk.
That's sometimes, I think. I don't know. I can forgive him for most of the time.
I mean, he did have a lot on his shoulders being the leader and all, but
it's
still. True. And Cyclops is one of my favorite, mutants. I love his powers, but this show's Cyclops, he wears on you after a while.
That much absolutely true.
So Morph was intended to be a throwaway character for the writers to kill to sell the stark nature of the series. Changeling was his original name, was chosen because of his past ties to the X-Men, as well as his long absence from the comics. His code name had to be changed from Changeling to Morph, as DC Comics had trademarked the Changeling name for the character who was also known as Beast Boy. And Morph's death was intended to be permanent, but he gained unexpected popularity and was brought back. He was only there for 2 episodes, but he was one of those characters that became popular, I guess, just off of the intrigue that people had about him. What I like about his character, though, is that Morph first appeared as Changeling back in like 1967. And he looked super weird, but when he took his like big purple mask helmet thing off that he had, like he looked like Morph from the series. So they really did transfer that character over, bringing him here just to die, to show how serious this series was.
I just thought it was like, I'm glad that got explained, because I always just thought it was so weird, because Morph was never, he was never that big of a character with the X-Men. Like he was, he was a part, but he was kind of a tertiary character at best in the comics. Like he was never like a big mainstay or anything.
Later on, post this series, he became like a bigger part of the comics, where he turned into like, I guess his base form, which is like the white kind of face. Yeah, with the weird costume on. Looks more like stretchy, I guess.
Yeah. Like a weird Martian Manhunter sort of,
but also
facial design.
Crossbred with the marshmallow.
Yeah. And I always thought that was I thought it was the weirdest pull to use him as a character in this, when like my thought would be, and still to this day, I'm like, I don't know why they didn't use Thunderbird right off the bat, which I don't know.
Right. That would have been an easy one, because he was killed in the comics too. So that would have been like a straight transfer.
Like, yeah, one of their first big missions as X-Men, when they did Giant Size X-Men, and it was kind of the revamp of the team, was they went out and he gets killed pretty much immediately, to show everybody, like the audience, hey, this is more serious now. Like this wasn't the X-Men from like the 60s. This is a lot more serious of a mag now.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why didn't you do the exact same thing? But whatever.
Wasn't that big like 100-page issue where it had like they went to Krakoa or something? Yeah. Oh, but to be fair, I know we're stuck on this point, but Morph's important. He was also killed off in the comics, not in this way, but he found out he had cancer, so he offered to pose as Charles Xavier to like confront this enemy and essentially sacrifice himself to make this enemy think that Xavier was killed.
Yeah.
But he had actually ended up killing Morph, and he was buried still in the form of Charles Xavier with his clothes on and everything. So it's like, yes, Morph was sacrificed, but I agree with you, though, that Thunderbird would have been an easier one to kind of like, I guess, explain off.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love characters who can morph like that, or who can transform. Yeah. So I was all for Morph back then. So anyway, I'll move on now. This X-Men series is one of the first animated shows to be serialized, with each of the episodes continuing into the next, although most of them also stand alone as separate shows. After the Phoenix Saga aired, the remaining episodes that aired were not in the correct continuity order, because the bulk of the episodes were being animated with many different studios. The writers decided not to continue with linear storylines like this, like the first 2 seasons, as many would likely air as soon as they became available. So continuity problems became so bad that No Mutant is an Island from 1996 and episode Long Shot from 1996 did not air for 2 years after they should have, thanks to the animation quality issues. No Mutant is an Island was supposed to explain Jean Grey's return, setting up the Dark Phoenix saga, but that one was played out of order. So it's good now that they are like gathered in this collection, because now you can kind of watch them as they were intended to be. But during its initial run, they would just be airing episodes like all out of order, just whenever they became available.
Right.
Yeah. So you had heard of the show before, obviously. How big a part of your childhood was it?
Huge. This show shaped a lot of, like, I mean, this is gonna sound cheesy. This shaped a lot of who I am, honestly. Like, this was my foray into anything really superhero-y. Like, X-Men was the beginning of a lot of stuff to come. Like, it's what got me first interested in X-Men in general, and then superheroes like at large. Aside from like, Ninja Turtles, I was already into those. If you count those as superheroes, I don't know if you would. But like if you're thinking traditional superhero kind of stuff and you think like X-Men, that's kind of where I'm going at. So like of the big two, like Marvel DC kind of stuff, like this is what got me interested in that stuff, into comics, into the games and everything. So yeah, this was the first step into a lifetime of becoming obsessed with this type of entertainment and culture.
Absolutely agree with that. Mine is pretty parallel to it. It was something. It's very chicken egg. I don't know what came first, like the trading cards and comics or this show, but it was something that my dad was really into as well. So it was something that we were able to bond over a lot when I was a kid.
Nice.
And I watched as much of this show as I could. I remember a lot of these episodes specifically. I had the trading cards. I had the comics. I had the toys. Like X-Men was a huge part of my childhood. In the same way, like you said, that Ninja Turtles was, or He-Man was for me, or Dino Riders, like these shows that were aimed at kids to sell things. This was one of them to me. This one wasn't particularly to sell things, but it still worked in that way for me because I bought every X-Men toy I could.
Yeah, same. I had tons of X-Men toys. And what was great was I lived in a neighborhood that had a lot of like boys that were about 5 to 6 years older than me. So like over the next like couple years, they would have like yard sales and stuff. And they were like buying some of those toys and then realizing, I'm getting a little too old for this, like real quickly. So that means Chris is cashing in on that stuff real fast. getting like getting all of these toys for like 10 cents each. I remember getting like a whole bunch, like several different versions of Wolverine, because they had to have, the retractable claw one. They had to have the yellow brown suit. They had to have the scuba Wolverine.
Did you have
the Weapon X?
Yes, I was going to ask if you had the Weapon X where he's like shirtless, but he has that giant helmet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A whole bunch, like Cyclops. I had the Gambit. Magneto, a really cool Iceman that was like, he was like a clear see-through plastic.
I had that Iceman too. I had Gambit, but I hated Gambit's jacket.
The jacket was so terrible.
Like gross. And I'm trying to remember if it was plasticky or if it was like the felt kind of like splinters.
It was plastic on one side and like a really thin felt on the inside. And it just felt awful.
Yeah.
So it was terrible.
It was. I also had I think I had a long shot one. I know I had a Sauron one, if you remember the pterodactyl dude.
Yep. I had a Good Apocalypse one where his like hands were detachable and he had a big cape. Yeah, like so I had tons and tons of these things and was just completely obsessed with it. And
so the point is we loved X-Men.
Yeah, and the like Capcom versus Marvel stuff, like I was so into that too. The Pizza Hut by my house had one of those arcade games, and I was always begging to go there because like the 3 games that they had was Turtles in Time, The Simpsons, and for a while it was the Pride of the X-Men one, like that real big one, and then it was replaced with the Marvel vs. Capcom stuff.
Yeah, we were surrounded by it as kids, and that love for me has never left. Like even though it's subsided in some ways, like I'm not as big into like reading the X-Men comics as I used to be. When I hear X-Men, I still get excited about whatever it's bringing me. Even like the movies, I've seen them all. I didn't like all of them, but
I didn't like most of them, unfortunately.
Yeah, I guess I can agree with that. But that's being revitalized too. So maybe the new franchise will be even better. Who knows?
I hope so.
So let's go ahead and jump to the episodes we watched for today's show. First one being Night of the Sentinels, Part 1, Season 1, Episode 1. And this is where a young teenager has been rejecting her mutant powers ever since she discovered them. But when giant robots track her down, it's up to the X-Men to save her. And I will say also that out of all the episodes we watched, this one had one of the funniest parts to me. And I'll tell you when we get there.
Oh, I think I bet I know what it is, but we'll see.
Yeah, when we get there, tell me if it's what you're thinking.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so it opens with on a pretty serious note, actually, where we see Sabretooth rampaging downtown, and it's a newscast like talking about how basically there is a discourse between mutants and humans, and that's the general like plot of this series, and that humans are not accepting of mutants because they pose a danger to them. And some of them a very real danger, like Sabretooth or just any of the other villain mutants. But we have on the other side of that, the X-Men, who we're not introduced to yet. We get to meet Jubilee. So Jubilee came in '89, and I don't remember reading any comics with her in it prior to this show. So this was my introduction to her. And we're seeing how her adopted parents are saying she needs help, or adoptive parents are saying she needs help. And like her dad has like offered her identity to this mutant control agency or something. And that's when I guess like Sentinels just come and pick you up from your house, because that's what happens. A Sentinel comes in and tries to picking
them up is like a real understatement, man. It's not like an Uber driver shows up and he's just like, hey, I'm here.
I just mean in a literal sense, it tries to reach in and pick her up out of her bed. Yeah. Like it grabs
King
her
Kong
bed.
Style, busts the hand through the wall to grab. Yeah.
Like it could have knocked or something. Like, come on.
Yeah. What I think is so strange about this too is like with the whole thing is how the Sentinels are going around and like trying to capture Jubilee, and then for that being said, I mean, any mutant that they're going after, it's basically any mutant that has been registered with this organization, they come after. They're not worried about any unregistered ones at this point. But it's like they'll go to any lengths. Like these Sentinels are destroying everything. They're like stepping on cars. They're like shooting stuff. They like break through this mall. They're destroying it, and the whole time they're like, "Do not be alarmed. We're only after registered mutant." Blah blah blah. And I'm like, what do you mean? You just crashed through you're a freaking kaiju of a machine busting through this mall, which has been like a third of it is now gone, and you're telling me, hey, don't worry about it. You're good. Yeah. You're safe. I'm like, I don't think so.
It's all good. I'm protecting you from these evil mutants.
Yeah, it's like I don't think I'm good. I don't think. While I do like though that they take a second to show some woman like screaming to a cop, like, do something. He's like, what am I going to do? Arrest it? It's like the cops are just as perplexed. Like, we don't know what to do about this.
Yeah, this is where we get to meet Rogue and Storm. We're introduced to them first. And they're not familiar with the Sentinels either. This is their introduction to them as well. They see that Jubilee's in trouble. The Sentinel detects them as mutants, but since they're unregistered, it's like ignores them basically, and just is going after Jubilee, who had just been registered by her parents. And it's wrecking through everything, like you said. We get to meet Gambit as well, who's flirting with a girl at like a comic book store or something.
Of course.
And then Storm and Rogue end up saving Jubilee from the Sentinel. Gambit plays a part as well. Ultimately, it's Cyclops, who we get introduced to as well, who finishes the Sentinel off.
Like I want to give Cyclops credit. Like his introduction was great because dude walks in like a boss and just destroys this thing. Everyone else like struggled taking this Sentinel down. Storm, Rogue, Gambit, Jubilee, all trying to take down this thing. Cyclops walks in and blows its head off with one blast and a one-liner. And I'm like, dang. And I was just like, that's awesome.
Jubilee's kind of knocked out at this point. I think she gets like some kind of, I think she gets gassed or something. I can't remember, but she gets knocked out.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so they end up taking her back to the X Mansion, and she wakes up there. That's where we get to meet everybody else, and she gets to sort of meet everyone, although she's trying to escape because she doesn't know where she is.
Yeah, like she's kind of sneaking around after she wakes up, and she sees Beast, and I mean, for that matter, because Jubilee here is the excuse the term, the everyman character for us. She's our window into this already pre-established world right now. So her seeing Beast is us seeing Beast for the first time in this show also. God, his voice is so good. I want to listen to that man just read books all day. Like if we could get George Buza to just do ASMR, just read bedtime stories for me, that would be great. I would sleep like a baby every night. I would be into it.
Beast became like really one of my favorite characters just because of like how calm he was through everything. And he would always be like quoting like some sort of like Shakespeare or some sort of poet. And it's like, kids for the most part aren't going to get it, but I appreciated that they still stuck with that and they didn't deviate from it.
Well, and his very, very long story arc is something that kind of went over my head as a kid, but I love it now, which is that, and we don't even get to see it in this episode. It's in the second parter of this opening, first 2 episodes, is that he gets captured and gets imprisoned, and he's basically jailed, and he's awaiting trial. And there's like multiple times in the series that like X-Men end up where he is, and either to bust him out or to get somebody else out of there and want to get him out too. Or they're visiting him and they're like, let's get you out of here. And he denies them every single time because he's just like, no, we have to prove that we are no different than the humans. Because if we break out of here, if you break me out, then we're proving them right. And I think that is the coolest thing. It's just so intelligent for a 90s cartoon with a big furry ape looking guy.
With Kelsey Grammer himself.
Yeah, with a very Kelsey Grammer-ish man. So
no, the Beast was awesome. We get to see Morph, who is this is our introduction to him as well.
I just don't like his laugh.
Oh, his laugh was a cackle more than anything. Ugh. And he's transforming to people he's seeing on TV, so that's where we're getting to witness his powers. We get to see the Danger Room. So we're introduced to everything in this episode. We don't need to walk through all of it, but Danger Room, Professor X is there, and Jean Grey as well. This is when they're trying to, explain to Jubilee what's happening, and that her, they tried to call her parents, but nobody answered or something. She ends up trying to run home to check on her parents. And this is where the funny part is, because as she's running home, she runs by a sentinel that's like hiding behind a tree. And then she doesn't see it somehow. Okay,
that was not the funny part that I was thinking of, but that is a really good one. I do love that. I love that he's hiding behind a tree.
Yeah, it just didn't make any sense because right as she passes him, you see that giant leg.
He's huge.
And like she doesn't see him. And then like, I guess to come out of hiding, he just like lights his eyes up. And it's like, dude, I already saw you, but right. I don't know how she didn't.
It'd be like, I don't know, it'd be like a fully grown man trying to hide behind like a garage sale sign.
It'd be a fully grown man trying to hide behind a piece of broccoli, basically.
Yeah, like behind a flower.
Yeah.
It's like,
exactly. It's like, yo, I see you there. But anyway, that part was just really funny to me because it was... It's still treated very seriously, but it just is absurd.
Yes, it is. It's very much absurd. Yeah, that dude's just ready to that Sentinel's ready to just destroy houses, whatever he's got.
So they do end up knocking, like the Sentinels, like, team up on her and knock her out again. Bolivar Trask comes in, who's part of the Mutant Control Agency, and he takes her. So they take her to that base. The base ends up being like this place where they have like the registrations of the mutants who they have been like provided and are going after. So the X-Men decide that they're going to raid the MCA, Mutant Control Agency, to destroy the registration files. And that's when they're simultaneously trying to find Jubilee. Luckily, she happens to be imprisoned there as well. So it all kind of is what brings us into the next episode that we did not watch for this show yet.
Right. There's 2 real important things that they did establish in here too, is that one, you see that there's a lot of tension already between Wolverine and Cyclops. Like they're already butting heads about what to do because Cyclops is, and Xavier says straight up, Cyclops, you're the leader, as in basically like, hey man, whatever the plan's going to be, that's on you. Like you do what you think is right. But Wolverine's just like, F off. I'm going to do things my way.
Yeah, that's a constant for Wolverine. Like, I go where I want to go.
Right.
He can't be told.
One of the other important things is something I just realized as an adult is like Storm's just electrocuting everyone with lightning. Like when she flies in, any guards just bam, lightning. And I'm just thinking, oh my God, as a kid, I'm just like, yeah, cool. don't think anything of it. But like, have you seen what that does to people? Have you seen photos of lightning strike survivors? My God.
Well, in my mind, I'm pretty sure she's got enough control over it to where she's stunning them and not killing them.
You think so? Well, I'm sure they're not dead, but have you seen some of those scars? Dang.
Yeah, but I assume that she's got control over it. She's very insistent on that.
Maybe.
When she's explaining it to Jubilee.
Dang. There was two funny things I want to mention here, though. One was like when they were talking about what's going on, I think it was Cyclops was like, wait, so is the government containing mutants? And Xavier is just like, no, a private company that works with the government. And I'm like, so the government, because you just said it's a company working with the government, so the government's helping them do this, so it's the government. So the part that I thought you might say that was funny, but this is something that cracked me up, is when the rest of the team got there to the compound where Jubilee's being held and stuff. They're trying to sneak in, but Wolverine's already there. He's up in this tree, and they're like, "Did you see where she went?" And he's like, "Trail went cold inside. Got bit by a dog too." Just such a nonchalant that he got bit by a dog. And that had me cracking up because he said it so serious. Oh,
that was
man.
Pretty good.
It was such a good little quip. I loved it.
So, yeah, they're just going in to raid that facility. And that's where the episode closes off, where they're about to be confronted by these guards who are on the other side of this door. So drama ensues. That takes us to the next episode we watched for today's show, which was Days of Future Past Part 1, which was Season 1, Episode 11. This was the highest rated, where a mutant security enforcement officer from a bleak future comes back to present time to thwart an assassination in an attempt to change history for a better future. This enforcement officer is Bishop, of course.
Of course. It's got to be Bishop. Yeah, we get to see the classic, the future that we all know, which is that something had happened and the world has finally basically teamed up against mutants. They're all being either killed or captured. And in this, some mutants are being hired, which is the mutants that are basically have like that M tattoo over their face, like Bishop does, marking them as a mutant. They're kind of acting as like bounty hunters, and they're kind of like left alone so long as they help capture mutant rebels, like the ones that are causing problems for everybody else. So he's kind of working for, what we would probably say is the bad guys, but he's considered a traitor by other mutants. And, we see him confront Wolverine and an older Wolverine and two nameless other rebel mutants that I don't know that they were anyone from the comics. Like I couldn't take a guess on them. I think they were just kind of made it for this show.
Yeah, I'm not sure. One of them like shot beams out of her hands, and then one of them had like metal arms.
Yeah, he did like the Colossus thing, but only with his arms.
Yeah,
but then he would do like the Freakazoid run, where which cracked me up, where he's just running with his arms out and just ran into stuff.
What I was confused a little bit about with that is like, even if you had metal arms, unless you have a lot of propulsion behind your run, I don't think you'd be able to break through a Sentinel leg like that.
No, you're just going to run into it and fall over.
Yeah, it's just going to be metal on metal. You're just going to make a really loud noise and probably burst your eardrums after a while.
So unless you're like, let's say Cannonball, and you have that blast where you can, propel yourself with a huge amount of force that also protects your body from exploding when you hit something. Yeah, that makes zero sense.
Or
but,
even like
whatever.
Quicksilver or something.
He looked interesting, I guess.
He looked pretty cool, yeah.
He had a red bandana around his head and blonde hair, as you would have if you were a rebel in the future.
Yeah, of course. So Bishop has to, he beats them pretty easily, even Wolverine, because Wolverine's getting older, so he's losing some of his prowess.
He's not taking that Bioflex for his joints. He's got all those metal bones, but think about those joints. Those joints got to support those heavy metal bones. This episode sponsored by Osteo Bioflex.
It's definitely not, but so Bishop, he takes them in, like he's got them tied up in his, or not tied up, but he's got them like trapped on this little vehicle that he drives them over to the Sentinels on, to this compound. And like they scan his card and they're just like, well, Tracker Bishop recovery quota reached. You're no longer needed. Terminate everybody. So
yeah,
basically his time's run out. They don't need him anymore. He served his purpose. So they're just going to take him out too.
Yeah, you met your quota. We don't need you. Man, so what do you remember as a kid, the experience that you felt the first time they walked through that graveyard and you see all the tombstones of all the X-Men?
Oh, yeah.
I remember as a kid seeing that and just my mind was blown like, oh, no. Oh, I was so sad.
Yeah, that's something I was very familiar with. And it's crazy to just see, especially for a show that's directed towards kids, like death on that scale or death at all, especially of these heroes.
Yeah, they were all dead. Like there's a tombstone for all of them.
Everybody's
the only one still alive.
So that's when Bishop and Wolverine go to visit Forge, who is his power, wasn't it like understanding how to build anything basically?
Yeah, he's
put anything together.
Yeah, he's basically a technomancer. So he can basically kind of manipulate technology on a level that no normal person would ever be able to. Like he can not necessarily communicate with it, but he can understand any type of technology, which means that like he has an unlimited ability to understand how to use it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
And so the idea is also Nimrod appears, who is like the advanced Sentinel, the new advanced Sentinel, who's just like
with the worst possible freaking
the
name
dumbest
ever.
Name.
Yeah. I mean, his name literally is slang for being stupid. So it's like,
I never understood that name.
No, you guys could have done so much better. You messed
like
up.
Sentinel Prime or something. Like, give us something, anything else. But anyway, so he shows up and he's trying to hunt them down. Wolverine and Bishop go to Forge so that Wolverine's plan at that point is to travel back in time to stop that assassination that I was mentioning earlier in the episode in the description. But because Wolverine is older now, as we got to see earlier and they prefaced, they're going to send Bishop instead because of his youth and his ability to confront all of these X-Men who would be in his way.
Yeah.
We don't know who the assassin is at this point. Bishop just has this armband that kind of explains everything. But when he does travel back in time, he just has like amnesia and forgets pretty much his entire mission. And it's
not
armband
explained though
is very cryptic. No, it's just like destroy all these people. Yeah, destroy assassin, and it just shows like the X-Men. And he's just
here's the thing.
Okay.
It only tells him to destroy the assassin after he says the word assassin, because some kids got a video game with the Punisher on it. And they're like, oh, cool assassin cartridge. And he's like, cartridge? Assassin? And it's like, destroy assassin. And he's just like, assassin? What assassin? The X-Men are assassins? I'll kill all of them. And I'm like, wow.
So that's his plan at first.
I know this is the highest rated episode, man, but the plot was a mess in this part. It was just a mess.
I still like this episode a lot.
I do too, but like the amnesia part was so convoluted and done poorly. It was just like, oof. But I do like that he steals the city bus and just slams it right into the mansion. It's just like, screw it. Just drives right through those front doors and starts shooting everybody.
Comes out blasting,
Yeah. I mean, why not?
Eventually, they're able to take him, or at least calm him down to an extent. They do face off against Nimrod again, who they have to use all their powers against. Storm ends up having to freeze him so that they can break him apart, but he starts regenerating. So Bishop has to shoot the armband that he has to send him back in time. So at this point, he can't be destroyed. And that's when like they sit him down and try to like Professor X digs into his mind with Cerebro to try to figure out like what his mission actually is, what he's here for. And he's just getting kind of jumbled imagery. And he just knows he's here to stop an assassin, but he doesn't know who yet until Gambit steps in. And that's where the episode ends, where he's like, traitor, the future ends now, or your future ends now, and starts shooting at him.
Yeah.
And that's where episode closes.
And classic Wolverine is making fun of Bishop at every step in the
Yeah.
episode,
He's
which
just
is so funny.
Time
Just
travel's ridiculous
constantly.
and all that. Yeah.
Everything Bishop says, Wolverine's got some line making fun of him, and it is really good. Like, the banter is spot on.
Yeah, Wolverine is very one-linery in this episode against Bishop. And
But,
I guess
like,
just in general.
Yeah, in general, but like not done poorly, and it's not
No.
like, and it's not a lot of cliches. He says really good, funny things a lot of the time, and not always funny. Like sometimes just really mean things that like really speak to his character, though.
Yeah.
So like he's well written. He's a very well written character in this show.
And they do use him a lot in this series, which makes sense because he is one of the better, like more fleshed out characters.
Definitely. Especially those episodes where it's like Wolverine going back to like Canada.
Oh, yeah.
And going on the hunt for Sabretooth. I know there's a few episodes in the show that are stuff like that, like Wolverine and Sabretooth having showdowns, and those were always good.
I remember him facing off against Omega Red.
Yeah,
I remember
yeah,
him
that
having
was
to
good.
face, or I remember him like kind of meeting up with the other Weapon X teams, or the other Weapon X like individuals like Maverick and
Maverick.
Sabretooth. And I think there was one more, but I don't remember who that was. And then also where we got to see Alpha Flight, the Canadian superhero team.
Yeah,
Like this show had everybody.
I think Silver Fox might have been in there.
Oh,
somewhere.
I think it was Silver Fox. Yeah.
I just remember his return, like the episode when he came back, because he was gone for a while. Because there was like an episode or two where he was like doing that stuff. And then, you know, we'd have episodes where he's just not around with the rest of the X-Men. The episode he does come back, I remember they do ask him where he had been. I think it was either Jubilee or Jean Grey. And he like coughs or sneezes or something like that. And then he just says, someplace cold. And that's it. And I'm just like, oh yeah, so good.
The last episode we watched for today's show was Beyond Good and Evil Part 4, End and Beginning. This was Season 4, Episode 21, which...
You picked this.
I did pick it, but this was the last episode of the 4th season, which was intended to be the last episode of the series.
I could tell.
Until Fox demanded, or I guess like asked for more episodes. And so that's why the 5th season, which we're not going to talk much about, was just overall a mess and rushed. Yeah, there were a lot of reasons behind that, but I'll talk about those in a minute. The final battle between mutants and Apocalypse takes place, and it feels like a closing episode. It feels like it should have ended here.
Oh, yeah, because you got everybody in this episode. You have got the X-Men, you've got Magneto and Mystique, you've got Cable and Bishop and Archangel, and Beast is out. You've got the 4 Horsemen with Apocalypse. You've got Mr. Sinister and his nasty boys.
The nasty boys. You've even got, briefly, you get to see Bishop's sister or cousin, Shard. I don't remember their relation.
I forgot about that. Yeah, sister, I believe.
Yeah, so...
You see Psylocke.
Also very briefly.
You see Strife.
Oh, we get to see Rachel Summers.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, there's so many. Emma Frost.
Oh, right.
So many. Like, they just were like, who have we not used yet? Man, just throw them in there. We're going out with a bang.
Yeah, how many psychics do we have in the X-Men universe?
Throw them all in.
Great. Throw them all in.
Why do you think instead of going with the Marauders for this, they're just like, you know, hey, what are Mr. Sinister's guys in the comics? The Marauders? Can we call them the Nasty Boys? Because they're nasty.
Well, see, I wonder if the Nasty Boys predated the Marauders.
I don't know.
That, as far as the name goes. I don't think they would have just pulled that out of nowhere.
Well, they first showed up in 92, so pretty much in tandem with the show. So, like, I guess it's more like, you know, I guess they did use the Nasty Boys, but, like, some of the Marauders, like, basically end up joining the Nasty Boys. So it's kind of like a mashup of the two, I suppose. But just the fact that they're called the Nasty Boys, I just feel like they could have, I don't know, man. Marvel really effed up some of the naming conventions here. We got Nimrod and the Nasty Boys. I think
Nimrod and the Nasty Boys needs to be our band name.
I I just feel like they really could have done better. But yeah, I do think Nimrod and the Nasty Boys is something. There's something there.
It's solid.
So,
yeah, we'll figure it out.
There's something.
Apocalypse's idea is a great one, actually. He's in the axis of time, and which is this like the center point between like all universes and all like time periods. His idea is to destroy all the other periods of time so that he can start it over in his own image.
As far as villain plots go, that ain't bad. I
That's
mean,
pretty epic, and it's a very Apocalypse thing to do since he's very survival of the fittest.
I mean, if your name is Apocalypse, you can't get much more apocalyptic than destroy all of time and start over.
Yeah, exactly. So this is his final like mission. His goal is to do this.
Yeah, I don't want to root for someone trying to commit genocide of, all time, but good on him for like, really role playing that one.
Yeah, temporal genocide would be what it would be, basically.
Good on him.
So Cable's there trying to destroy his Lazarus chamber, which is how Apocalypse has stayed alive for so long, since he's been sort of eternal. He kind of has like a Ra's al Ghul's thing, or Ra's al Ghul's thing, where it's the Lazarus pit in Batman. But this thing just keeps him alive, here. And it's the secret to his longevity. And Sinister has kidnapped all these psychics to provide to Apocalypse, because the way he's going to destroy this, all the other times, is by bringing them all together and then kind of forcing off like a huge psychic blast with all of their powers combined to destroy everything aside from the fortress in the axis of time.
I just kind of wonder, like, how I mean, I don't know how psychic energy would remove time. I'm granted, I'm talking about a cartoon here, but like my head really tries to like legitimize these things with as far-fetched as science as it could even be. I don't know how it would work, but I mean, hey, why not?
They did try to explain it, and I don't remember exactly how, but he's essentially saying like that time and the mind are a single thing, and so to destroy the mind on that scale would destroy time or something to that effect. I don't know. They tried to talk it off in some way.
Well, I suppose if he were to, I mean, it does show him wipe out like a Neanderthal creating fire. I mean, I suppose if he were to basically wipe out the minds of everyone that ever existed, that would essentially wipe out everything.
Well, we do see him
nothing would have ever happened.
Like destroying people, or like they
disappear,
erased from existence. Yeah. And so he's succeeding at his plan.
Oh yeah, he's doing it.
And this is the last episode of a 4-parter, so we're just seeing the tail end of it. But we also have seen that Magneto and Mystique were working with him as well. Mr. Sinister and the Nasty Boys you already talked about. And it's the final showdown between all of the mutants who are there, all the X-Men who are there, including Cable, Archangel, and the others. And we're getting to
Bishop's
see
there. Like
Bishop is there. Like I don't know who that other guy is, the time janitor dude.
Because he's not credited anywhere. Like I was trying to find out who he was supposed to be. I just remember at one point, Bishop refers to him as the janitor.
Yeah. Because
he said that he created and then maintains the Axis. And so he's like, you're the janitor. So I don't know if that was supposed to be his name or what. At first, I thought it was supposed to be, what's that one mutant that can create... There's a mutant that can create dimensions and stuff, and I thought that's who it was supposed to be.
Maybe Gateway?
No, not Gateway. He can just travel through dimensions. I don't remember. Like in the comics, he has kind of like a spring for a body, if it's who I'm thinking of. Anyway, I thought it was supposed to be like some sort of version of him or something at first, but I was like, nah, it can't be. Anyway, at the end of the episode, though, he turns into something else, and I couldn't tell who that was supposed to be unless... that was supposed to be maybe like my two guesses were either Loki or Franklin Richards, but I'm not sure by the end because he turns into a totally different person for a split second. My guess would have been Franklin Richards, but I'm not sure.
Possibly, but there's no telling. I don't know where they were. Was the Fantastic Four show, did that exist pre this or after?
I don't remember, but I do know that Franklin Richards is credited as appearing in X-Men the Animated Series, but I couldn't find what episode.
Oh, okay. Then maybe
Which is
so.
why I thought, okay, the only way it would make sense, like anyone that creates something like that, Franklin Richards is the only one that really fits the bill, I think.
Yeah, but this guy's kind of gone off his rocker a little bit, maybe just because he's been up there for so long. So he's just like a crazy, also like a slapstick comedy kind of dude.
And that was the reason I thought, well, then maybe it's Loki, but I'm not sure. I don't know. It's so confusing.
Yeah. But that's not important, really, because
I just love that Bishop's wandering around with this guy, and Bishop's just pissed off the whole time, just wandering around with that guy, essentially by himself. Like, all right, what do I do now?
Bishop ends up saving the day, though. He's the one who really like saves everyone. It's because he's shooting those little capsules that all the psychics are in and starts to free them, which is when Apocalypse comes out with his horsemen to try to stop him. Okay, that's sort of the final showdown portion of it, where Cable comes out too. Wolverine's there. Wolverine and Magneto are kind of saving each other back and forth, and like basically surprised by it on both sides. Like, oh, I never thought I'd save you, or I never thought I'd save you. And this is where we wrap it up a little bit because a lot of this episode is basically just a fight, a back and forth between Apocalypse and all the mutants. So we wrap it up by Apocalypse. This is very cool, where all the psychics are now free. So they trap him with their psychic powers and then essentially wipe the Lazarus pit, or that was already destroyed. The Laboratory chamber is gone. And they are saying, like, well, now that you're going to exit the Axis with us, you're going to cease to exist. Like, we're forcing you to cease to exist. And that's really the most metal thing you can do to a villain like Apocalypse. Because you can't really beat him any other way. He's immortal.
So that's pretty cool. Because, like, once they're released, because Wolverine ends up breaking that orb that's controlling them. Yeah. And then they use their combined power, to teleport everyone back to their rightful time through the use of the Axis. And Apocalypse does not have a time anymore because his Lazarus thing is gone. So he would not exist, which is why he is basically dead. They basically kill him there.
They literally say it's the end of time for you. So that's a way to like finish a series, especially like finish an episode, let alone a series.
It was crazy. The one thing that I did not like about this episode was how abruptly it ended, though. Do you know what I mean? Like, I felt like there could have been some real good, I don't know, tying up with some characters and stuff here. Like, you see back at the mansion, like Archangel telling Psylocke he was worried about her. You see Jean and Scott like hugging it out because they were just about to get married.
Oh yeah.
And Jean's in her wedding dress and she's just like, we're not very good at honeymoons, are we? And then Cable's just kind of like, I'm out. And then he's just like, I'm going back to my son. And then credits. And I'm like, wow, that was abrupt.
The ending was very rushed, but I feel like you almost needed another episode just for that, for resolutions.
Yeah.
I liked all they did in that episode, but the end was pretty like rushed, where you didn't get to see a lot of the characters or get much resolution for them. I did like that Professor X and Magneto kind of had like a mending session there. Yeah, they reconciled a bit. And that was nice to see. But again, like those are things you need to stretch out to really like give the full gravity of everything that just happened. And I think they could have had another episode of just resolution if they truly wanted to.
Yeah, I think if the plan was for this to be the very last episode of the series, they would have had to have done something like that for it to have been a satisfactory ending.
Yeah, but it's almost worse that it kept going.
Yeah, it didn't do. Guys, it got real bad. The show got so bad after this.
The animation got taken over by Saban because at the time Marvel was going through or filing for bankruptcy because they were failing as a company, and so they couldn't afford this 5th season that was requested. They couldn't afford to produce it, so Saban took it over and they just kind of rushed everything in there and had their own animation team that was not great. And yeah, it felt very forced.
Yeah, it was rough.
But anyway, what were some of the things you liked about this series?
God, there's so many. There's so many. God, where to start? I mean, I think they do an amazing job of packing in characters and doing it in a way that gets you excited. Are they always perfectly represented? Definitely not. But many of the core characters are done so well and are so enjoyable to watch. It's really easy to forgive it. And then you get so many amazing characters that come in as cameos, like Bishop and Cable and Archangel, Apocalypse, and so many more. And it just gets the X-Men nerd to me so pumped. And it's just so enhanced by the voice actors because they nail it. This is some of the finest voice acting you'll find in a show from this era. And it makes it so memorable. As we talked about earlier, like these are definitely the voices that we hear anytime we pop open an X-Men comic. Like, it doesn't matter how much time has passed. That is the Xavier voice, the Rogue voice, Cyclops, Wolverine, Gambit, Magneto. These are all the voices I hear every time I read an X-Men comic or anything to that effect. And I'm always going to hear those voices because they did such a stellar job with the show.
Absolutely. And I forgot to add earlier that the majority of the voice cast came from the Toronto theater scene.
Oh, wow. Okay. So a lot of them probably knew each other then, too.
Yeah. And that's, I think, a big reason why they also continue to do these characters, because it was some of their probably first big roles. And so they were just kind of attached to that from that point forward, which is great.
Yeah, there's quite a few of them that don't have a whole lot of other animation credits. A lot of them are television actors. So that actually makes a lot of sense in that way.
Mm-hmm.
I did also want to comment that up till season 5, I think the animation's really decent and holds up pretty well. Some of the designs, maybe not as much, but a lot of those designs are just total reflections of like Jim Lee and Rob Liefeld, which means, you know, the giant muscles, small heads, lots of pouches.
Giant pauldrons.
Pauldrons, yes. But the animation itself still feels pretty good for that era, especially seeing so many different powers used in so many different ways and then having to be animated with like different effects to make all of them stand out. I think that they did a really good job for the task that they had up until Saban took over.
So for me, my likes are, I've been a big fan of the X-Men as far back as I can even remember. And if I wasn't reading the comics, like I said, or collecting the trading cards or playing with the toys, I'd be watching this show. Not only that, but it was one of the things that my dad and I bonded over, like I was talking about. And while it's very near and dear to my heart for that reason, it also continues to live on in different forms. And until unjust prejudice and oppression and whatever have been completely eliminated from society, I don't really see any signs of the X-Men franchise stopping, since that's what the core plot of X-Men is, or the meaning behind it is fighting against that oppression. Oh, and branching off of that, like, we didn't just get to see like our primary X-Men team, like we were saying. We got those like cool guest appearances from like so many different other characters. To name like some notable ones for me, we got Nightcrawler, we got Colossus, we got Dazzler, we got Longshot, we got Mojo, we got Omega Red, the X Factor, and even one of my all-time favorites, Mimic. Like, freaking Mimic came back.
Yes.
And I think he was only in one episode, but it's still just cool to see him. I still remember his name, Calvin Rankin, which is trivial information that's been stuck in my head since childhood. And I think I'll probably carry that to my deathbed because for whatever reason, I'll always remember that name.
I love it. Yeah, it's such a cool character, too. I wish we would have seen more of him. Or I hope we will see more of him in another iteration and some point.
Because I know he was part of like Norman Osborn's team, whatever it was called, his Dark X-Men or whatever.
I mean, if they do the X-Men justice in the MCU, he should be part of that first film because he joined the original X-Men really early on.
Yeah, he was a villain initially and then joined them, and then I I don't remember if he got killed off or what.
I mean, you're never dead in those.
That's true, yeah.
Yeah.
But he's just a cool character because he can just copy every other mutant's mutant ability, or at least a limited amount of them.
Yeah, and then eventually all at the same time, which was awesome.
Yes, that's like the most famous image of him you'll see is like where he's got angel's wings. He's got like beast like body form. He'll be shooting Cyclops lasers.
Beams, yeah.
And then he'll be like riding on Iceman's like ice slide thing. It's like everything you love about the mutants all combined into one. Why wouldn't you like Mimic?
Which is why he was such a cool villain for them, because it was basically like they had to work as a team against basically the sum of all their parts.
Yes.
Which was great.
Is so cool.
And makes really good sense if you think about it for a first X-Men film. Dun, da, da.
Oh, man. If they brought Mimic back, I'd be all for that. That'd be awesome.
There you go.
But anyway, so what did you dislike about this show, coming back to it?
So, whereas I think a lot of their dialogue is written really strongly, especially, like I said, there's a lot of really good banter on Wolverine's part and Gambit's part, very specifically, and Rogue and Beast. Good Lord. Okay, so all of their dialogue is great. I'm gonna give them that, except for Jean's. Jean's dialogue is usually terrible, which sucks.
Oh yeah,
poor Jean. The plots are typically kind of messy and not always done the best. Even like I said, that highest rated episode we watched, where Bishop's struggling to remember his mission. Like even as a kid, I remember that whole bit being so confusing and poorly explained. And it's still the case. There's like no explanation for the memory loss or anything there. Like why it's happening, what caused it, why it's like coming back distorted and in pieces. We just kind of have to roll with it and just hope it solves itself. And it makes for that part of the episode to feel really messy. And I think there are several episodes that suffer from some similar issues. And then the other dislike is that I think the editing can be really atrocious at times. You can tell, especially like in the third episode, which I think the episode was great. It was so fun. There was so much going on. There's so many characters. It was a blast. However, I feel like you can really tell that there was more that had to have been recorded, maybe even animated. And it just feels like they edited some of that episode to hell for the commercial spots and everything to fit the right time, because a lot of it feels super rushed. And there's a lot of cuts between scenes that are just super crazy abrupt. So there can be times where it feels a little hard to keep track of what's happening when it jumps from like one character finishing a line of dialogue during an action scene, and within a split second, another character is in an action scene in the middle of another line. And you're just like, whoa, you know, like the mind only needs like so long to adjust between these scenes. Come on, guys. So I just wanted to say that was something that did stick out to me quite a bit rewatching this series.
Yeah, I forgive like a lot of that. Like those are small qualms to me, just because it's like I get they're trying to fit a lot of these like pre-written storylines into these small episodes. I mean, you know, maybe that one, I don't know if that one directly was tied to an actual comic series or comic run, but a lot of them were, especially like Days of Future Past, where they had to condense that whole run into 2 episodes. So it's like, yeah, they don't have time to explain why he has amnesia or whatever. It's like, just accept it and you move forward. And as kids, of course, you're going to, like, you don't care that much. It's like, whatever, just get to the action. So I think that's why a lot of the cutting is probably that way. Most kids don't care. I didn't care. I still don't care. So for my dislikes, though, qualms aside, small qualms aside, like the forced final season was what really like not killed the show for me, but just like if anything were to damage it, it's that season. So I'd say if you're gonna rewatch it, the series at all, just skip that season entirely. Just do not watch it. You don't need to. You'd be better off not doing it, because the animation's shoddy, the storylines were ho-hum, and then it just didn't feel the same as the rest of the series. It didn't feel like it had the same heart the rest of the series did. And like I said, I know Marvel was filing for bankruptcy at the time and whatever, but still, as far as I'm concerned, the show ended with that Beyond Good and Evil episode we were just talking about. End of season 4, that's all you need to do. Just cut it off right there.
Yeah, and that's where they replaced some of the voice actors as well, which was kind of a bummer too. Like Gambit sounds completely different in that last season, and it sucks.
Yeah, because Gambit's voice is so iconic. Like, you can't just change him. I guess, like,
Exactly.
maybe because they were only expecting 4 seasons, the contract might have ended or something. I don't
Yeah,
know
I don't
for
know.
sure, but still, unfortunate. Well, Chris, looks like it's about time we send our inner kids to Xavier's School for Gifted Youngsters, or Magneto's Asteroid M, depending on whose side they're really on, then see what they thought of X-Men the Animated Series.
This show is amazing! It's all the classic X-Men with their powers, and they're fighting Sentinels and Magneto and Sinister and Apocalypse, and oh my god, I need to tape knives to my hands right now so I can be a mutant and finally be called gifted like my parents always wish for when they cry at my school and therapy meetings. Mom! Mom! Where's the knives?
This is the coolest show ever. It's got action and drama and mutant powers and so many of the characters on my trading cards and love triangles. I don't really know what the last one means, but I'm happy to hear those triangles found love. Anyway, now I need to go read all the comics and collect all the toys and see if my ears are so big because I'm secretly a mutant too. Da-na-na-na-na-na. Da-na-na-na-na.
Unfortunately, no, you never grow into your ears either. So there's also that, but it's not a mutant power. We just have big ears. So my recommendation, we just grow your hair out. That's what I've done.
You're a Morlock that only got like a strange looking body part, and you didn't get any powers with it.
Yeah, exactly. So we have a useless mutant power, and it's like ear enlargement. Great.
Yes, there you go. It's such a great show. It is absolutely one of my favorites of all time. It always has been, and it always will be. As I said earlier, is what got me interested in X-Men and comics in the first place, and helped me feel like a part of something as a kid on those days where you just feel different from everybody else. And maybe you can't even really grasp why yet at that time in your life. Even with that said, I know it's not a perfect show. It has flaws for sure, but it still stands as a great adaptation of comics and X-Men stories in general. So with both of those said, I gave this cartoon 4.5 bowls of blue and yellow spandex cereal out of 5.
Yeah, X-Men has played a big part in my life for most of my life. And the series holds a special place in my heart for multiple reasons. But most of all, I think that it was just a great introduction to this wide expanding universe that it's so hard to condense. And I think they did an admirable job of doing that in the 4 actual good seasons that they had. So for that reason, I'd give X-Men the Animated Series 4.5 big bowls of mutant munchie cereal out of 5. And I think it's still worth a watch, honestly. Like, seriously, it's on Disney Plus, which I know you either have or are mooching from a friend or family member. So just go check it out. Like, do it for Morph.
Yeah, just like me. I'm mooching from you.
Yep. Well, listeners, looks like our milk supply is now run dry, so it's time for us to say goodbye. And in 2 weeks, we'll be watching
James Bond Jr., submitted via Facebook by David Bond. From the bottom of the list.
Wow. Look out, he's coming through. He's got a job to do while he rescues the girls. I remember this song for some stupid... I don't remember the show much, but I remember the song.
Why was he James Bond Jr. when he wasn't supposed to be James Bond's son? That's what I want to know.
Well, maybe we'll find out in the first episode.
That makes no sense.
We'll find out.
I'm looking forward to it because I have very fond memories of this cartoon, like it existing. I have fond memories of that. I think I even had some comic books and maybe some toys of it. I'm fairly certain I had toys of it. And I doubt it was any good, though. So I'm excited to find out about that.
Yeah, that theme song has been stuck in my head forever, just waiting to come out. So now's the opportunity.
Oh, man. I'm looking up some of the toys, and I absolutely had a few of these. Oh, boy.
I remember what he looked like, too, for the most part. Like, for some reason, I don't know if it's like scarred in my head or what, but James Bond Jr. is one that I could easily point out in a lineup, and I'm excited to see what it actually had to offer, if anything.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited for it. Wow, I had way more of these toys than I thought I did. Oh my God, what were my parents thinking buying all of these? I had tons of these toys.
I remember his main enemy's name was Scum, I think. or at least as like an organization.
That could be the organization. I don't know.
James Bond Jr. chases scum around the world.
Yeah, that's probably the organization.
Oh,
So there's what we got in 2 weeks. Thank you, David Bond.
That's what we got. Thanks, David Bond. This is going to be an adventure.
Wait, David Bond? Are you related to James?
Oh my God, I didn't even type it.
I never thought about this. Oh my God. We need to know. Bond. David Bond.
David Bond.
Let us know if you have any relation to our favorite drinker of shaken, not stirred.
But what if David Bond prefers it stirred, not shaken?
Oh, he's really mixing it up now. Okay.
He's a rebel.
Let us know, man. Let us know. We got to know.
Well, once again, I'm Joseph.
And I'm Chris.
We'll see you in 2 Saturdays.
Presented by Nerdsloth.
A place for lazy nerds.
If you like what you heard, consider donating at patreon.com/nerdsloth so we can continue bringing you quality shows. Be sure to also leave us a review and share your favorite episodes and clips on social media. If you're looking for more content, visit us at nerdsloth.com.